Okay, everyone. Hello. Welcome. I'm Monique Bogni. I'm the Director of Integrative Nutrition at Pelvic Rehabilitation Medicine, and I am thrilled to be here today to talk to you about diet, nutrition, and endo. I'm here for any questions. I'm going to share a lot of information. I'm going to do a little show and tell of my favorite supplements. So yeah, I look forward to connecting with those of you that are able to jump on the live here. So when we're talking about endo, we know that we are malnourished, and we may not know, but if we have the symptoms that create endo, we are malnourished and our gut is compromised, which means we need to do things to heal our gut. So that's just something that we can know right away. It's information, and how we go about healing the gut and how we go about reducing symptoms and feeling better in our bodies is addressing the toxicity that we are exposed to in everyday life. So we're exposed to toxicity in food, in water, in air, in what we put on our skin, in clothing, just everything has toxicity. I mean, we live in a toxic world. It's just the reality of where we live now. It's more toxic than it was when we were little. And so we're actually noticing that, even younger and younger people are getting endo and other pelvic related symptoms. And my stance is that it's because our womb, our reproductive area is absorbing all of these toxins, and our body is just not able to release them based on the amount of toxicity we're exposed to. So ways that we can reduce toxicity is one, eating organic. Some people say it doesn't matter. I absolutely believe it matters. Even if there is, cross-contamination with organic, it's still reduced pesticide use. It's still reduced herbicides, and those are the toxins that get stuck in our body and cause problems. So if you're not already going organic, if you're new to organic, if you're a little intimidated by organic, there is an awesome website called the Environmental Working Group, ewg.org, and they have so many free handouts on how to reduce toxic exposure. They have like a sunscreen handout, which is great, so that you can find a sunscreen that's not going to add toxicity when you put it on your skin. As far as eating organic, they have something called the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen list. It's free. You download it. So the idea is you shop the dirty ones are always organic, and then the Clean 15 are the ones that are okay to not buy organic. But it's such a great place to start. Also, meat. If you eat meat, you want to eat the highest quality meat ever. Conventional meat is very toxic, especially to the our reproductive systems. And so, you're looking for organic meat, grass-fed meat, wild caught. So if you see the word farmed, you don't want to eat that for fish. If it's conventional, it doesn't say grass-fed or organic, you want to look for those words. So that's one way in the food that you can avoid toxicity. Changing up your makeup and skincare products. Again, the Environmental Working Group is such a great place to start with that. For all of the free handouts that they offer for reducing toxicity, perfume, cologne, things that are the plugins, the Febreze type plugins, any kind of like artificial smells. We want to remove those from our lives because we're just breathing in toxins. You can get unscented laundry detergents, unscented soaps, things that are clear, things that are colored. Again, that means it's toxic. Scented candles, incense, those are all toxic. So it's just learning how to slowly replace the things that are like causing us to ingest more toxins. And if this hasn't been already said by any of your doctor teams, our feminine care needs to be organic. And I always recommend, not using tampons, because even just organic ones, it's like you're putting something up there, and I believe things need to breathe and come down south. But if you're going to do it, organic, right? And then using glass storage containers whenever possible. Hello. That's going to also reduce the toxins that come from plastics, the toxins that come from cans, right? So anytime we can use glass for storage and purchase things, things like condiments and things in glass, like even, for example, there's so many different types of canned tomatoes, and the brand Jovial offers tomatoes in a jar, and it's just plain, no salt, and so again, it's just like finding the best version of everything that's out there, because there's so many options, it's confusing to know. So that's how we reduce, those are the ways in which we can reduce some toxicity, because once we start to reduce the toxicity that we're ingesting, then we can start to release the toxicity that's already in our body. So there's many ways to detox with food, and that's what I love talking about. So before we talk about what we're going to add in, I'll mention some of the things that could be helpful to remove, while you're healing. And so I always suggest adopting a healing diet, right? Like, people think, oh, I can never eat this again or that or this. And it's like, no, just while you're healing, it's, if you think about the foods that are not supportive and then you start to learn about the foods that are supportive. So when you think about wanting to feel better, it's like, what can I include to nourish my body and support my body during this healing process? And then what can I add in to support this process and really nourish myself and again, like I mentioned earlier, we're malnourished. If we have any kind of symptoms, we're missing something. Our body's out of harmony, so we need to find what is going to feed our body at the cellular level, right? And start to heal. That's where we start to heal. So and one thing that's very important to mention, and I share this with all of my clients, all of my patients, no one diet works for all. There's no one endo diet for everyone that has endo. It's individual to the person, because each person might have different nutritional needs, right? Everybody might have a different toxic load. Some might be more toxic, some might be less. Some might be really low in this vitamin, and someone else might be really low in another vitamin. So they'll require different different foods, different supplements. So if you can remember that, I know a lot of times people will read on the internet, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, it irritate this. Well, it might, for example, I know that with IC, with the bladder stuff, a lot of patients are afraid to eat tomatoes and lemons. Well, did you have an experience where you ate tomatoes and you had a flare up, or did you read it on the internet and then now you're just scared of tomatoes? So it's like, remembering that no one else knows better than we know. Our body knows. So, sometimes it takes a little bit of experimentation to find out what your body wants and needs. And maybe it doesn't want tomatoes right now, right, in the healing process. And maybe it actually thrives on raw tomatoes, but not processed tomatoes, not cooked sauce in a jar, or not ketchup, right? So it's really feeling into each food to find out which ones nourish your body. So, we'll talk about what I suggest to remove while you're healing. This is great for pre-surgery, post-surgery, no surgery, right? It's how do we reduce inflammation? How do we adopt an anti-inflammatory diet? Because when we have, endo, we're inflamed. Our body's inflamed. So how do we calm it down? So one strategy is to start removing some of the foods, some of the ingredients that inflame the body. I always suggest, if you're not, if it's overwhelming, it's like, let's just focus on one area at a time. So dairy feeds, all of the pathogens in the body. It's mucousy, so it gunks things up, it creates glue. Any kind of mucousy food is great to remove to allow things to come out. So dairy can be helpful to remove. If you love your milk, right? There's so many alternatives now. In my program, I offer what I call a transitions foods list. So I tell you exactly the product to get, so that when you switch from your dairy milk to almond milk, you're not buying an inflammatory almond milk, because 98% of the plant milks that are out there are inflammatory. If it's not refrigerated, do not buy it. And so in the refrigerated section, for example, it makes sense, right? Because it doesn't last as long as the shelf because it's not as processed. And also, there's great options there. Since I'm talking about plant milk, I'll just give a few of my favorites. People love to know products. There's Malk and Treeline, and you can buy these at Whole Foods, and probably many other places too. But they're just the nut and, water and milk, or and salt sometimes. So, versus all of the emulsifiers that are in all of those, and the gums that are in those nut milks on the shelf, those inflame the gut. So, all right, what else is helpful to remove? You've probably heard it, gluten, and really, it's like we get sad about our bread, but there's so many options that we can have that are gluten-free that create that like bready, heavy, comforting feeling that bread does, right? So you can switch to cassava tortillas, you can switch to I'm trying to think, so as far as grains go, millet, you can still have oats. You just want to make sure they're organic because those are very toxic. Lots of glyphosate. If you haven't heard glyphosate yet, it's cancer. It's been proven to cause cancer. It's a pesticide, herbicide used in conventional farming. So definitely be on the lookout for glyphosate. And excuse me, yeah, I was going through my notes. I want to make sure I get everything. So yeah, so you want to choose organic, gluten-free grains, millet, gluten-free oats, amaranth. Maybe you haven't even heard of them. They're really tasty. They almost remind me of couscous, but you want to steer clear of corn. That's another inflammatory ingredient. Quinoa, right? Who doesn't love some quinoa if it's seasoned, mixed with something? It's a really healthy grain. And so other possible food triggers, let's talk about that. If we just focused on dairy and gluten, removing those, that you would probably notice a significant difference in inflammation. And then also refined sugars, and a lot of times refined sugars, gluten and dairy go together, in a muffin you buy out, or a pastry, or a sandwich. So, that's where you want to, think of how can I rethink my favorite food, and that's something I help people with. If you love a sandwich, we're gonna come up with a way to create, a really healing sandwich for you that doesn't contain any gluten or dairy. All right, so I'll just go down the list. I don't want to take up too much time. Again, you can sign up for my online self-paced program that gives all of this information. Soy is inflammatory, so that we're talking tofu even. If you're going to eat tofu, it's got to be organic. Sprouted is really good. That would be the best. Or tempeh, wheat-free tempeh, right? Because sometimes they put wheat in it. So that's the whole form. Or edamame. But again, soy is still inflammatory. So just understanding that, right? Just being informed with our food decisions. So soy, corn, industrial food oils, anywhere you see canola, rapeseed oil, those are the one and the same. Those like battery acid for your gut. It's in every packaged product package. It's even in hummus. Why would they put that in hummus? Olive oil is so beautiful in hummus. So reading all the labels and looking for the hummus that has, olive oil. Sunflower seed oil is a seed oil, and it's, also becoming really processed inflammatory. So I tend to steer people away from sunflower seed oil. However, if that's what's in a product and you're doing the best you can, then, again, we want to do the best that we can and not be stressed about eating. So eggs feed any kind of growth we have in our body, cysts, tumors, again, while we're adopting a healing anti-inflammatory diet, it could be helpful to remove eggs. I already talked about conventionally raised meat. Pork is good to just get rid of and switch to other meats. We talked about the farmed fish and tuna. Tuna is really high in heavy metals, so if you're eating tuna from a can every week, you want to find the wild caught, and maybe even you can move to canned salmon and reducing that. So again, that's going to reduce heavy metal toxicity. Artificial sweeteners, natural flavors, artificial flavors and colors. All of the, I feel like it's the no-brainer, fast food, fried foods, deep fried foods, right? A lot of packaged food. If we can, increase the amount of whole foods, right? That means we're prepping more food at home, we're cooking more, and we're eating less things out of a package, less things out of a can. I know people tell me I don't like to cook, and I'm very sick. And it's like, how can we learn to love to cook, right? I don't like to brush my teeth, but I still do that twice a day because it makes me feel good. It's for the health of my teeth. So if we can start to look at eating and cooking and preparing our food and learning how to nourish ourselves as part of the healing process, we're going to feel better quicker, right? Because, it is a challenge to eat very healthy, eating out all the time. There's a lot of great options now. In New York, I love Sweet Green, right? You can find some unhealthy options there, but you can, find healthy options. You can even make a healthy bowl or salad at Chipotle. So like there's ways of, eating more anti-inflammatory, even when you don't have time to cook, even when you're too tired and too sick to cook. So yeah, let's talk about what to bring in, what to nourish ourselves. So we talked a lot about toxicity and what to remove. And now once we've removed the things and we're detoxing our body, it's like, what foods do we bring in? So a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. So now some people are very sensitive to fruit. Fruit sugar is a different category than any other sugar. Fruit is its own food group, and that's misinformation that's widely out there. So people are so confused. They think, oh, I can't even eat an apple because it's sugar. It's not. It's fiber, it's nutrients. Think about all the different colors of fruits. So it's like finding the fruits that feel good in your body, right? Maybe bananas don't feel good to you, but papaya does, right? Maybe blueberries feel good to you and like cherries don't. So it's finding what works for you and really consciously, mindfully eating the rainbow. And we can do that with vegetables as well. For example, you can pick a different colored bell pepper every week, right? You can do red one week, yellow one week, orange another week. If you're constantly using that in your cooking. And greens, leafy. So there's two things that I notice with every single patient. A lot of people eat very little to no fruit, and greens, leafy greens. And I'm emphasizing that because a lot of times green sounds like grains. Dark leafy greens. We need to get these in. These are the most healing food in the vegetable category. And herbs. Herbs are a leafy green, like cilantro, parsley, dill, oregano, whatever you love to bring in. You could put a handful of cilantro and parsley in a salad every day, in a soup, in a stir fry. That would be in a dressing. So eating the herbs daily would be incredible for detoxing. They pull out heavy metals, just for like getting those greens in. And then like spinach, right? Everybody, I don't know anybody that can eat enough spinach to, get oxalate poisoning unless you're juicing like an incredible amount, right? So it's like, I don't believe we need to worry about those things when we're like deficient in the nutrients of leafy greens. So, maybe you do spinach one week, maybe you do butterleaf lettuce another, maybe you do romaine. Romaine and butterleaf are still very, very nutritious. I know people get confused. They think romaine is like iceberg. No, it's a leafy green. It's just a lighter green. So a lot of people love that. Pick what you love in order to get it in. There's so many beautiful greens, right? You can bring in chard to your stir fry. You can bring in collard greens. You can bring in bok choy, right? That's a green. Anything that has a little leaf on it, bring it in. So eating the rainbow is a great way. That's how you nourish yourself, And I know this is going to sound like a lot, but if you could get a measuring cup, like the cup measuring that you use for baking, and you measure out your greens, you put 4 cups in a salad, and then you have some other vegetables. Maybe it's cucumber, maybe it's some cooked asparagus, maybe it's some cooked broccoli, maybe it's bell peppers, carrots, whatever you like in your salad. And then you measure 2 cups of raw vegetables, or maybe even just a cup. Let's start there. So now you've got 5 cups of vegetables in a salad. And from there, you can add your garbanzo beans if it's plant-based, or you can add a little of wild-caught salmon or organic chicken if you enjoy meat, and then, add a little fat, avocado, or maybe some nuts and seeds, and then like a, healthy dressing. So there are ways of still enjoying like our favorite foods, but then it's like we bulked it out with all of the vegetables and all of the nutrition. So those are my tips on making a very healthy salad and also getting greens and more vegetables in. We talked about organic. This is something that's very important, especially post-surgery. Especially when healing our gut, there's all the information. It's like, all right, you eat the probiotic, you do the yogurt, you do the sauerkraut, all of the things that have the good bacteria that helps our guts, right? I find, in my experience, a lot of people post-ceremony, their body is really sensitive to histamine, and all of these probiotics or prebiotics, right? They can actually cause inflammation. They can make the inflammation worse because post-surgery, your body's inflamed because it's healing from the surgery. So I have found that, people feel better by removing any kind of yogurt product, by removing, a probiotic, just like for a while. Because I know it's like, no, that's what we're supposed to do. And again, it's bio-individuality, like what's happening for you in this moment. So perhaps you need to try a low histamine approach. And you can also Google, like, what are low histamine foods? What are high histamine foods? Like, for example, pineapple is a high histamine food. So if you have a lot of histamine reaction happening in your body, pineapple may not be a healthy food for you right now, right? Let's see here. Okay. So let's talk about some more examples about what to eat. So, it can be helpful, it can be helpful to remove grains in general, like even the gluten-free grains. Rice is okay. I also find that a lot of people feel better when they remove the rice, right? And I know people like it because it creates that heavy feeling. They're not eating bread. It's like, I just want something. And what I suggest is super nourishing is bringing in winter squashes and sweet potatoes. So winter squashes are pumpkin, it's butternut, it is, spaghetti squash, it's acorn squash, it's all those beautiful and weird looking squashes that tend to be around all year round. I used to think it was just, the fall and winter time, but I've seen them, in different places. And of course you can get canned, right? You can get canned versions of these too. But sweet potatoes are available all year long. Sweet potatoes help pull out toxins, specifically in the reproductive areas. So if you're not eating sweet potatoes yet, bring them in daily. And a lot of people are like, I don't like the yummy ones. No problem. There's white sweet potatoes. They're called Japanese. They're called hana. Hana has a white flesh and a brown skin. The Japanese ones have like a beautiful purple skin and a white flesh. So, and they have like a little bit of a different texture, a little starchier, a little less sweet. I make a frosting out of them. But they're great. You can roast them, you can steam them, you can put them in your salad, you could just eat a whole thing of mashed potatoes next to your salad. You can do a roast potato, right? I like to do a little, if coconut yogurt feels good, I like to do coconut yogurt on my potatoes or my potato soup. Makes it feel a little bit decadent. Maybe add some pumpkin seeds, add a little crunch, right? Replacing that bacon. So winter squashes and sweet potatoes and regular potatoes of any color are great to bring in daily, especially as a sub for grains. If you want to go on a little grain cleanse, that can be helpful. And now we have cauliflower rice in a package. We don't even have to make it ourselves. So cauliflower rice is such a great substitution for rice in any recipe. All right, we talked about the herbs in your salad. Let's see. We'll talk a little bit about green juice. I believe that green juice can be so healing, whether you're going to a cold pressed juice bar, which I know can get a little bit costly, or, you're doing it in your blender and then you're straining it through a nut milk bag. I just find that's the best way to hydrate the body. It's the best way, because water alone isn't going to hydrate us. That's the other really important thing here. You want to hydrate like a boss. We want to flush those toxins out of your system and bring those nutrients directly to your cells. So it's like, how do we make water more hydrating? We can add some lemon or lime to it, or orange. And again, I know sometimes there's fear around the citrus, and it's just, put a drop and drink some water and sit with it and see how you feel. So, it's important that we experiment on our own bodies without, looking for all the answers outside, because, our bodies are very intelligent. They're constantly giving us information and talking to us. So it's learning to trust our bodies. And so water and green juice, coconut water, 100% coconut water, nothing added to it, is a great way to get electrolytes. So, if you have a migraine, drinking 32 ounces of coconut water can flush out your system and heal your migraine. It's my go-to. And just really understanding what foods are dehydrating and what foods are hydrating. So dehydrating, cooked food is dehydrating. All the dehydrating beverages, right? Like coffee. If you're drinking coffee, definitely organic. Just going to put that out there. I know sometimes it's the only thing that makes us feel good when we're in chronic pain, so I don't want to tell you to get rid of that, but definitely choose organic because it's a very toxic crop. And how we hydrate is bringing in all the raw fruits and vegetables and leafy greens. And it doesn't mean we can't cook them. Sometimes our guts are so compromised that it doesn't feel good to eat a raw salad. So, let's steam all those vegetables, and saute them, or let's put them in a soup and, cook all the vegetables in a soup and puree it. So, smoothies are pre-digested. I love green smoothies to heal your gut. And again, steaming your food instead of roasting it and eating it raw, right? Again, it's just, where is your body at? What feels good to you? Your friend may be able to eat 2 salads and they're healing their body, and it's like you eat a salad and you're just like doubled over in pain. It hurts too much because your digestion is so sensitive. You've got, it goes in there. The raw vegetables are like sweeping things up and touching all the wounds in there. Whereas like if you steam it, you do soups and you blend it, then it's going to be more gentle as it pushes everything through. So lastly, what I want to talk about is supplements. So my favorite supplements are magnesium. This is magnesium glycinate. I like this brand, Vimergy. It's a good brand. They don't do any kind of weird fillers that are going to irritate your gut. So I like magnesium glycinate. A lot of people do citrate to do the laxative effect. I like the Calm brand for that. However, that can be really hard on your digestive system. So magnesium glycinate, if you found that the citrate is hard on your digestion, get a magnesium glycinate. You can also get magnesium a different way. This is, I know, it's back, Ancient Minerals. So this is Ancient Minerals. You can get this on Amazon. You spray it on your skin. If it's itchy, it just means you're deficient in magnesium. That's okay. Keep it on for 15-20 minutes and then rinse it off. But this is a great way to get magnesium as well. You can spray it on your arms, legs, etc. Two tools. Okay, so if we're able to do probiotics, I like this Enzyme Medica one, and also that same brand, Digestive Enzymes. Digestive enzymes, when you're healing your gut or healing from anything, I mean, these have been my best friend along my healing journey. When I was healing my gut, and I was chronically constipated, I was only going to the bathroom for a week. So I feel all of you that can't go. I did digestive enzymes with every meal for almost a year, and that's just how long it took. And now I just use them as an aid. If I go out to dinner, I don't know what's in that food. I'm definitely bringing these in my purse. So you can get these on Amazon, Enzyme Medica. So again, digestive enzymes can be really helpful for digestion and absorbing nutrients too. Oh, okay, and I see we're just about out of time, but I also wanted to address reducing stress. So important. We can eat green smoothies and salads and healthy soups all day long, so much green juice, and if we're stressed to the max, we're continuing to create disharmony and inflammation in our bodies. So it's really important to address the stress in your life, and and that also helps digestion, right? And I know that Dr. Millspa, she has awesome programs. It talks about mindful eating and just mindful practices you can do to reduce stress and how to strengthen the vagus nerve. She has a lot of programs that you can go on the website to check out as far as if you need help reducing stress. But some vagus nerve strengthening practices that I like. So you can do humming or singing. You can do the box breathing, which is where you inhale, count of 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4, and you can do that, 5, 6 times until you feel your nervous system regulate a little bit. Of course, yoga and Tai Chi, if that feels good. Some people like cold exposure. Some people like sauna, infrared sauna, prayer, meditation, guided imagery, acupuncture, massage. So, there's all kinds of ways we can, first things first, got to reduce the stress, and then one step at a time in order to start feeling better. So when it comes to the food, one step at a time, focus on one thing at a time. You do not have to make all the changes overnight. And you can trust that each little change will have a big impact over time, right? I love that analogy. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? And when it comes to healing our bodies, it took years and years and years and years to get here. So, it might take some time. It's, might not be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. It might be a year or two. And it's just being consistent with all of the lifestyle changes that you're making, addressing stress, your diet, even looking at your relationships so that you can feel, more balanced in your body. Okay, I think that is it for time. So I will reiterate that my online program, you can go to the Pelvic Rehabilitation website and you can sign up for my 6-week self-paced Nourish Your Pelvic Pain program, or Nourishing Foods to Help Heal Your Pelvic Pain. It's such a great foundational place to start. And just, it talks more about what I've already talked about here on, reducing toxicity and what nourishing foods to bring in. It's just much more detailed, and it's basically 6 hours of your time. And it's such an incredible value what we're selling at. And if you want a more individualized approach to your eating, you can, of course, you can actually go online now and you can book a session with me one-on-one, and we can talk about what foods to bring in, what supplements, how to help you heal specifically. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today. I'm so honored to be here, and I would love to support you on your healing journey, and sending you so much love. Mwah.